Hello and welcome to our program today. It's time for agri, biotech and food security. In other words, we are actually looking at how biotechnology can facilitate food security. Emergencies call for urgent attention. Therefore, when there is a clarion call for food emergency, then there is need to apply an urgent approach. In a situation where there is food insufficiency, the will to devise a means of alleviating the situation must be ignited. And in the light of this, we invite you to be part of our program today, which focuses on food emergency and the role of biotechnology. Nigeria in the past has invented agricultural policies, namely Agricultural Development Program ADP, launched in 1972, Agri Credit Guarantee in 1977, River Basin Development Program RBDA 1978, Green Revolution 1980, Agri Transformation Agenda, and lots more. But these interventions could not change the narrative in the agricultural sector. There has been shortage of food in the country, and some are thinking of diversifying our approach to farming. Hence, we examine the role of biotechnology in addressing food emergency in a country that still relies on importation to address her food shortage. Our guest today on the program is Dr. Mrs. Rose Gidado, key figure in OFAB Nigeria and the protagonist of biotechnology, and of course, Director, Agricultural Biotechnology at the National Biotechnology Development Agency, NABDA. Thank you for joining us. This is introducing a new TV series on agricultural biotechnology, one of the most complex and accurate scientific discoveries designed to provide sustainable food security for humanity. In the light of rapid population growth, agri-biotech must be understood, accepted, and embraced to realize its full potentialities. Nigerian agriculture is vulnerable to climate change with associated occurrences, reducing agricultural production across the nation. But biotech offers new tools for increasing agricultural productivity and protection of food crops. And from farmers, testimonies abound on the benefits of genetically modified crops. In this TV series, we shall be dissecting issues surrounding agri-biotech with experts on its understanding, acceptability, and application, week in, week out. Join me, Kirian Umayo, on our show, Agri, Biotech, and Food Security. Be my guest, Tuesdays, 7:30 p.m. on NT International. Brought to you by OFAB Nigeria under the auspices of NABDA. Our guest today is the Director of Agricultural Biotechnology at the National Biotechnology Development Agency, NABDA, Dr. Mrs. Rose Gidado. Dr. Gidado, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the program.
Thank you, Kirian.
Well, your name is synonymous with agricultural biotechnology in Nigeria, and I have to take you on a very important topic that has to do with food emergency, which has now been declared by the President of Nigeria. But again, I would like you to begin by first of all defining food emergency. What is the concept of food emergency?
Okay, when something, an emergency has been declared on anything, you should know that it's a matter of urgency, that it needs urgent attention, because we are actually short of food, and because of the shortage in food supply, there's hike in prices. They're very expensive. A bag of rice is costing 60,000. Well, in those days, it used to be 5,000, 8,000, 9, 10. It kept rising. But these days, the rise is really very sharp.
It's astronomical.
It's really astronomical. And so Mr. President, I think, cannot wait to really bring us back, to having the food security, and let there be food for everyone. And so that urgent action, that we need now to have available food, affordable food. Once you talk about food security, yeah, you must be talking about food being available, affordable, and then being stable, having stability in prices and what, and then nutritious food. That food you're eating must be able to provide all the vital nutrients that your body needs. Yeah, that's when, you will not say that, I'm really food secured, or my country is food secured.
Now that food emergency has been declared in the sector, what should be the next step, or rather, the quantum leap required by the country to, of course, impact positively on the nation's food chain? Is there any form of technology or other emergency-related actions that could be taken, to address food insecurity? You can as well talk about gene manipulation, gene technology, and other forms of technology that can bring about crop improvement and higher yield.
Everything in our bodies are controlled, both humans and animals, and what, all controlled by the genes. So when they knew the genes are actually responsible for how you look, and they're responsible for traits, how this one is, or how that one is, or how a crop is being attacked by some insects. Because when you go into real research, you will now discover that there are genes controlling, some parts of the crops, and making the crops susceptible to certain insects. So, but once you get rid of that using the genetic modification technology, DNA technology, of course, that crop will end up giving you a seed, a resilient seed, a seed that would not be eaten by that particular insect you have developed this seed to resist. And the low yields that farmers are experiencing, and it's those low yields that are actually part of contributing factors to not having enough now to eat, because of the low yields and what, due to so many, inhibiting factors. So once you take care of that, that crop will now give rise to a seed that is resilient, a seed that can be drought tolerant, depending on the kind of development or the kind of approach that you use. It can be drought tolerant, it can be flood tolerant, it can be resistant to certain insects and what. The insects are many that feed on those crops. But usually you have to first of all look towards the one that causes the most damaging effects, that is of economic importance. Especially, let me give you an example. The maruca, we have a butterfly. It's a butterfly, but the larva of that butterfly, when you plant beans, ordinary beans, and it germinates and it begins to form leaves and flowers, the larva creeps into, that larva is called caterpillar. Creeps in and then begins to destroy the leaves, destroys the flower, destroy. Once a flower of a crop is destroyed, that is it, the crop is gone. So farmers end up like losing. They end up having losses to the tune like of 90% loss, 80% loss. So some farmers, that's their source of livelihood. They have no any other means and what. And then at the end of the day, they till the soil. And around Africa, most places in Africa, they don't have money to do mechanization. They use their hoe and cutlass and what to do the farming, and most of them are old, and that's why agriculture is no longer attractive.
Let me pause you here,
Yeah.
and engage you with some other specifics, such as crops. We're
Yeah.
talking about the food emergency in Nigeria,
Yes.
and the role biotechnology
Can
play.
play, yes.
Now, there are staple food in this country. We have cowpea, which is all beans, which come in different species.
Yeah.
We have rice, we
Yeah.
have sorghum, we have soybeans, and all that.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how many of these crops, have been approved in Nigeria for GM as GM crops. So lead us into that and to see how we can ramp up cultivation of the crops that have been allowed or GM allowed in Nigeria, to deal with. Let us share it. That's how we know how we can address that food issue
Food
in the
issue.
country. Yes.
Okay, the crops that have been commercially released by the National Varietal Release Committee are two. One is the beans called the cowpea, the Americans call it cowpea, but we around here we call it beans. The black-eyed beans is what was actually developed to resist that maruca insect. And so the yield it can give you in a well-managed farm is 2.9 tons per hectare, while the local varieties that we have, the conventional variety, can give you only 350 kg, maybe to 600 kg or so. So you can see the difference. I mean, there's so much difference, maybe over 200%. So there's so much difference in the yield, and that is because the problem has been taken away. The bean grain now has a protection, the bean seed, I can say the seed, because seed is actually the heart of agriculture. Once you improve the seed, that is it. You've gotten it all. If you have a quality seed, high quality seed, once you plant, you are sure of 100%, 90, maybe 90 to 99 or 98% germination rate. So the viability is always, is there. And once you have good germination, that is it. And then the insect that actually comes to eat up the flowers and the leaves, those insects have already been disabled. When they go, they cannot eat. And even when they eat, they will not be strong enough. They will always
die off.
Yeah, some can die off, some, yeah, maybe some die off. Some, like, when they go, maybe there's a kind of, either a smell or, a kind of smell or what that will repel.
Or taste.
Yeah. Because I've actually never seen a maruca on the field of the developed copy that we have, the one. And it's a Nigerian variety. So you see, we're trying to domesticate this technology. It's a Nigerian cultivar that was, that gene was actually incorporated into the Nigerian variety of beans. The farmer's preferred variety was actually chosen. So that, because it's always advisable to go for the farmer's preferred, so that it's something that they are used to, maybe cultivating. So if you give them an improved version of what they have, it's better. It sits very well because they are already used to it. You don't need to teach them much about it. And the beans has an unintended benefit. That benefit is early maturation. That beans now can mature from 65 to 75 days. Is matured. I think from 60, the pods are
2 or 3 months.
Yeah, 2 to 3. It doesn't get to 3 months. The highest is 2.5 months. It's ready, and it's drought tolerant. Mostly beans does not like water actually.
What about rice?
It's an arid crop.
Rice.
So rice, yeah, rice was done, but it's not yet. We're not yet there. It's still under research. Newest rice. Newest rice is nitrogen use efficient, salt tolerant, and then I think is as well. Water use efficiency is also there. Water use efficiency means that it's a drought-tolerant rice, a rice that you can intercrop. You don't need to go to Fadama area or what, to cultivate it. You can do it. You can intercrop with other crops. You can plant it either on the mountain or what, and it will give you yield. So it's still under research. So we have cotton. Cotton has been commercialized. It's already in farmers' field, and they're excited about it. They are excited about the yield, and then the insect resistance as well. The insect is, we call it pink bollworm. Pink bollworm devastates cotton when you cultivate it, just like the beans is the same way. And so the new cotton we have, the improved version of the cotton that we have, you can only do 2 sprays. But the conventional cotton, you would do like 12 sprays, chemical sprays, and you know how it is. The farmer will carry the spray on his back, go around. So there's no way you can cover a large field. So it's not easy to do business, agriculture, with that, kind of subsistence farming. So they go around spraying the chemicals, and they're inhaling it. So their health, there's no health benefit. And then, those chemicals, you have to mix them with water. So where there's drought, it's a problem. We have many countries in Africa that, in fact, in some countries, they will tell you they only experience maybe a few times of rain, less than 10.
I have been speaking with Dr. Mrs. Rose Gidado, the Director, Agricultural Biotechnology Department at the National Biotechnology Development Agency, NABDA. We are deliberating on food emergency and how biotechnology can assist Nigeria achieve greater heights in terms of agricultural productivity. We'll take a short break now. When we come back, the conversation continues. You have well explained issues surrounding agricultural biotechnology, its acceptability, adaptation, and application. What I understand is that you wish Nigeria to rely on biotechnology to change the course of our history agriculturally. That's a good dream, and I hope it's going to be achieved. Now, we already know about cotton, cowpea, and maize. Let me ask you this question. Can cotton grow in all parts of this country?
Yeah, there are many states. They should be up to like maybe 15 states.
They can plant that.
They can plant
now,
that.
how do we now ramp up, beans that we have and others? Because we are looking at how the biotech can really stimulate agricultural growth.
Yeah. We actually have to do a lot to ramp up, production, and what the farmers need to be helped. These loans, with very minimal interest, maybe 1% interest loans can be given to those farmers to help. The government can actually help subsidize, so that they can afford to get those seeds and then take care of the farms.
How do we access? How do they access the seeds? Does NABDA have these seeds, or you source it from elsewhere?
The seeds are actually, as NABDA, these projects are like partnership projects. It's not like just NABDA alone, even though our main mandate is biotechnology. We have the Institute for Agricultural Research in Zaria. They are the breeding institute for cowpea, for maize, and what. So this is actually a collaborative work. And all of us are like government agencies.
Certain crops, namely cotton, cowpea, and maize, have been GM commercialized. But considering the number of staple food items in Nigeria, which we consume on daily basis, these 3 crops that have been commercialized, no matter how highly cultivated, may not necessarily be sufficient to feed this nation. So how do we ramp up GM commercially released crops, that is to say other crops?
Yeah, we have to follow the right procedures to do that, especially when it comes to regulation. You have to spend years evaluating, because whatever you're giving out as food, it has to be safe as the conventional counterparts. So that's what the regulation says. So you have to do all those safety analysis, safety evaluations, food, feeds.
Can you take the technology from Brazil to Nigeria
Yeah, we
without
can.
having to go the whole hog of testing and retesting?
We can actually do that. We can adopt from Brazil. But even when it comes, you have to spend like 2 years doing performance and a trial. You have to see that it is adaptable to our weather. You have to confirm that adaptability and that they're doing well. Once they are adaptable, is actually the other things are easy. So that adaptability, you're not doing it in just one location. We have 6 agroecological zones in the country. So you have to cover all those, especially where what you are bringing. If it's rice, I think rice thrives in almost every state. So you have to do, like, depending on how buoyant you are in terms of funds, because it's not an easy thing to cover like 15 states. You have to cover like maybe 15, maybe not less than, anyway, 10, not less than 10 states. You have to carry out all those performance trials in all those zones before the varietal release committee will actually give you approval for the seed, to be taken into the Nigerian seed system. So you have to carry out those national performance trials in those states and on farmers' field. So you have to establish demonstration plots on the farmer's field and all. So the farmer has to grow it side by side with what he has and compare. At the end of the day, if it's fine, if he chooses it, then before the varietal release committee will actually give you approval. But anyway, it takes less. You can do that in 2 years. Exactly. But you cannot just bring in seeds and say you're giving. Yeah.
All right, that's interesting. Because if you can get the technology from elsewhere,
yeah, we can.
Then it will shorten the period of time.
Yeah, it will shorten
the gestation period of all the process that we need to go, especially when it's a scientific process.
It can.
All right, at this point,
we're actually considering bringing in maybe vitamin A rice also. Yeah, either from Kenya. We're actually considering that.
All right, my guest has been Dr. Mrs. Rose Gidado, the Director of Agricultural Biotechnology at the National Biotechnology Development Agency, NABDA. And it is on this note that I appreciate her for being part of our show today. Madam, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Kiran, and thank you for inviting me.
All right, the program remains Agri Biotech and Food Security. Stay with us. We have been talking to a cross-section of Nigerians on their understanding of agri-biotechnology and its application, and whether or not the technology can assist Nigeria in food production.
We can have food security by agricultural development and biological development, but the thing is that we must not distort the genes so much that it will now create another thing. In as much as we want to increase our food security, we want to have food security, when we do things, we do it in line with nobility. In anything you do, there is also the one that is friendly and unfriendly. Do the things that are friendly to humanity. You understand me? Crossbreeding, when you are crossbreeding things, don't overdo it so that it will not cause sickness.
Well, it's good for the country based on our environment, because what I understand by the word biotechnology is where the world is investing into because of the climate change and environmental degradation and the health effects it has on human beings. So biotechnology helps the country, Nigeria, I'm talking about Nigeria now, to grow among the world's village as it is, because part of biotechnology, if we have that and we embark on it, it helps Nigeria entirely as a country. So it's good for Nigeria to embark on biotechnology, especially when it comes to tree planting, to control the adversity of harsh weather condition on our environment.
What a thought-provoking package we had today with Dr. Gidado on the application of biotech to provide food that will be adequately enough to cater for domestic consumption and potential huge exportations. Thank you for being there and for, of course, coming to terms with agric biotech, a sure way of abundant food production in Nigeria. I am Kirian Umayo, and I believe in biotechnology. See you again.